Today we are discussing another masterpiece of early American cinema before the dawn of man, before political correctness, before most of you were alive. 1989 was, I'm vamping because I've lost the picture. I read Ghostbusters 2 because I am not afraid of any ghosts. This is going to be probably a really irritating video because I'm annoyed because I did the whole thing on pause again. So this is my third try. All right. I read it in this edition. Ghostbusters, the original novelizations of Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Number 1 was by Richard Muller, and number 2 is by Ed Naha, who was a prominent Fangoria writer, journalist. So definitely had the credentials to write a book like this. Much different than the Richard Muller's novelization of the first novel, Naha, with the Ghostbusters sequel, pretty much sticks to the script. I don't think he added any scenes. He didn't really embellish very much. He did his job. Which was a job that had to be done in the era before, ubiquitous streaming and easy VHS access. Although I guess people were already doing movies by then. Were doing video cassettes by then, by '89. Yeah, of course they were. But often people would read the book because they could only see the movie once. It was out of theaters, and then that would be it. This book, I think I had oh, maybe I didn't save one. Well, anyway, movie poster didn't matter. This book is about a movie that is not good in any sense. There's no sense that Ghostbusters 2 is a good movie. It's not like just a come down from the original. Frankly, it's a drag. It's a bummer. They would be better off not making it. One thing about it, I did watch the movie, which I'd never seen before. Trying to recollect my thoughts, but things that I already said in the first video, I don't want to repeat them in this video. I mean, I do want to repeat them in this video, but not do them twice in this video, if you know what I mean. But the movie, obviously the studio wanted it. Well, the studio heads that developed it wanted it. Very interestingly, a new studio head came in during the production, did not want to do it. He wanted to make good movies. And this is so funny. This is such a difference from today. Let me see if I can find this on the Wikipedia page. But pausing to look for pages is what screwed me up before. Anyway, Ghostbusters. Okay, I'm getting off track again. I may just bail on this whole thing. This is 9 minutes already spent on a movie that's no good. It's really not good. If you like Ghostbusters, and I had seen the original Ghostbusters when it came out, I didn't rewatch it for this read through, but because I didn't think I had to. But of course, I figured the right thing to do with this, since I'd never seen the movie, would be to watch the movie first, then read the novelization, because that came second, and then compare them. There's not that much to compare, as I said, because it's very much a straightforward novelization with no nuggets or, no deleted scenes or anything, or no strange, quirky takes on it. He did his job. He did dedicate it to someone in his life. I think the name was... I'm not going to bring up the book again. Oh, yes, I can. He dedicated... And the reason I'm mentioning this is I've mentioned all the dedications of all the... oh, my God. Okay, For Suzanne, year 1. So we can... For Suzanne, happy first. Okay, so I thought it would be fun to talk about the dedications of the novelizations I'm reading. There's a couple later on that are pretty cool. This, I would guess. Okay, so who's Suzanne? His daughter. That's maybe. It's very nice if he said dedicates to his 1-year-old daughter, or maybe it's his wife. On the anniversary of on their first anniversary, or his a girlfriend in the first year of their relationship. Who knows? That's really about the only original kind of content in the novelization. This movie tries to repackage everything about the first one. It's a little bit like Rocky 2 that way, where back then they didn't pre-plan the sequels like they do now. They know often I think it's more common now for them to cancel a planned sequel than it is for them to pre-plan a sequel. They kind of know where they want to go, but this one they didn't. So they, like Rocky 2, they just kind of, well, okay, in this one he'll beat Apollo Creed, but we still got to have the run up the steps. We still got to have the meat locker punch scene. We got to have all the same bits. So they've got a giant Statue of Liberty walking through the city that somehow the Ghostbusters managed to animate by spraying gunk on it. Like, everything is really just spraying gunk on stuff. Another thing they decided to do in this movie. First movie, of course, is a libertarian masterpiece about a intrepid band of small business owners who are just trying to provide a service but are stymied by the regulatory nanny state of the EPA. It's very early Reagan kind of. And if you go to the Ghostbusters Wikipedia page, you can read. It's a very long Wikipedia page. It's an incredibly popular project. All the academic papers that have been written about this is early Reagan era agitprop, or maybe not even that, but just very indicative of the time of the early Reagan era, where government is the problem and so forth. I really don't think they thought that much about it. I don't think they went in. Ackroyd and who's the other guy who co-wrote the co-writer who's also in it. I always get his name mixed up with Ivan Reitman, the director. Oh, Harold Ramis, of course. Harold Ramis, one of the great screenwriters. I think he wrote Groundhog Day, didn't he? Probably the greatest Bill Murray movie. Anyway, this is definitely not the greatest Bill Murray movie. Pretty sure this is Bill Murray at his most obnoxious Chevy Chase best, or worst. He's awful in this movie. He's annoying as hell. He's clearly phoning it in. He forgot how to act, because he did take a 5-year break between he did The Razor's Edge, which was a bomb. Which was his passion project, and he's too old to play the character. That was the problem with that movie. But Razor's Edge by Somerset Maugham, one of my favorite books of all time. Very disappointing movie. Then he did Ghostbusters. The studio gave him money to do Razor's Edge, and Ghostbusters was kind of the payback. Then he took 5 years off because he was depressed about Razor's Edge failing. Then he did Scrooged and this movie, which he was. Seems like he must have been forced into. I mean, I don't think anybody wanted to do this movie. What I started to say a moment ago was that, when you start Ghostbusters 2, there's no credits at the beginning. Credits are all at the end, and I went through the whole movie thinking this was just handed off to other people to finish, like some other director besides Ivan Reitman, and probably from a story by Ackroyd and Ramis, but finished by like 4 or 5 other screenplays. But no, I was completely wrong. This is Ivan Reitman again, which shows that there's anybody can make a bad movie. Same screenwriters, Ackroyd and Ramis, same cast, everybody's back. Harold Ramis is pretty good in it. His character's like all over the place. Every time I guess they had a slow sequence, they said, well, let's film some more Harold Ramis scenes, which is helpful, but it's a little confusing. I mean, he's their accountant in most of the movie, but in an early scene, he's their lawyer, which is the only funny moment. One of the only times I laughed in this movie is when the other lawyer, who's, this evil lady DA who's trying to convict two of the Ghostbusters of going down a manhole or something. It's not even the main case against them. And so she objects to something, and Harold and Rick Moranis says, "Hey, we're both lawyers. Don't be mean to me," which was really the only time I laughed in the movie. I probably butchered the joke, but it's just stuff's all over the place. It starts out with a pretty good premise, though, that the Ghostbusters have fallen on hard times because after being the heroes at the end of the first movie, they ended up getting sued by the city and hated, cause much like Superman versus Batman, where Batman hates Superman for saving Metropolis, but by causing too much building damage in the process. So, but then they eventually become friends, and in this movie too, everybody eventually becomes friends again, and they decide they need the Ghostbusters' help because ghost activity goes way up. It's just not cohesive. There's, in a movie like this, you want to see the Ghostbusters in their firehouse. You want to see the montage of them finding ghosts. You want to see the Ghostmobile zipping around the city. Doesn't really ever come to that point where like we got the band back together. They're kind of all in different places, and there's some they got a little high-minded in this one. I mean, like I was saying before about, I think all the politics that people put onto the first movie was just accidental or just from the zeitgeist. But in this one, they decided they really needed to have a message about cities, and so there's all this protoplasm running under New York City, which is absorbing all the negative energy, and the negative energy is causing bad things to happen, like ghosts to come along, and the big bad of this movie, who's this kind of Vlad the Impaler type character who lives in a painting. Not Vlad the Impaler exactly, but that similar kind of character, which must have been described differently in the script, because in the Naha novelization, he's described as looking like the Incredible Hulk at King Arthur's court, which is not the way they drew the character or cast the character at all. But Sigourney Weaver has a baby. At one point, when they wrote the script originally, they wanted it to be Bill Murray's baby and have them be an estranged couple, and they get back together. For some reason, Bill Murray didn't like that idea. So they have this convoluted backstory where Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver were a couple at the end of the first movie. Somehow they broke up. Somehow she met some other guys. And then they got married. And then she had a baby 8 months ago. And then that guy is no longer around and gives no support to the baby or whatever. And so Bill Murray comes in like the surrogate father, much like a really unappealing version, a chemistry-free version of the Look Who's Talking 2 movies with Kirstie Alley and John Travolta, which came later, of course. But all those scenes reminded me of Look Who's Talking 2, which are corny, not great movies, but a lot more fun to watch than this because of the chemistry of Travolta and Kirstie Alley. Get a couple of Scientologists together, and boy, they can really act the hell out of a movie. But Bill Murray just seems like Chevy Chase. He's really obnoxious, as we know he can be now. If he doesn't want to be in a movie, if he decided, too late he doesn't want to be in something, he really does not show up for it. And that's what happens in this movie. So God bless Sigourney Weaver, who had to fall back in love with him based on nothing written in the script and based on no amount of chemistry, just her pure acting technique to pretend she's back in love with him. So the baby's in danger. All the Ghostbusters want to help the baby because their pal is Sigourney Weaver. And Rick Moranis is in the background, has cute scenes with Andy Potts where they have a little romance, which is nice. It's not good. It's just not good. The story's convoluted. For some reason, Sigourney Weaver is. Well, I know the reason. She was a cello player in the first movie, but here they need someone to be working as an art restorer. So, like many cello players in history, she gave up her career to have a baby and decided to go into art restoration. Although she's getting ready to go back into music because art restoration and music, they go together. They're really like basically co-majors that you take in school. So if you're good at one, you're obviously going to get hired to do the other. But somebody has to be there so that they have a reason for the villain to want her baby. He wants her baby because he wants to come back to life, and he's going to embody her baby and live in it and be immortal by transferring from body to body. And this is he picks her baby. I guess thinking back on it now, that I guess it has something to do with the opening scene where the baby gets placed in peril, is in a pram by itself and almost hit by a bus, and Sigourney Weaver's chasing my baby. And the baby's fine. And first when you watch that part or read that part in the book, you think, well, maybe the baby's possessed or something. But I don't know. I guess the villain, Vlad, his name's not Vlad, but it's something like that, was trying to draw her to the trying to draw the baby to itself, so it could possess it. And that's what's going on. But the message is that the slime, which is collecting all the negativity from New Yorkers, can be reversed and collect all the positivity from New Yorkers. And we could have a really nice city if everybody be really positive. And then the slime, the magic slime under the sewer, will project the positivity. And how they decide to get the slime to project the positivity is to the Ghostbusters to spray a bunch of gunk inside the Statue of Liberty, bringing it to life so it can walk through the town. And this is one of the things that really annoyed people at the time, is a really contrived way to have a monster, like the Stay Puft guy or whatever it was, the Michelin Tire guy in the first one, which was a villain. So that's what I mean by repeating stuff and just. I almost saw a hit and run, or a hit. So they had all these things. They threw them together. They wanted to have this message about positive energy making the city better. They threw some ghosts in there, but really not very many ghosting. This is really much more of a family film. The first one was a more raunchy adult comedy. By this time, I think they'd realized that if this thing was going to have legs, it was going to have to be family oriented. They had the cartoon, the real Ghostbusters cartoon, Saturday mornings, which was wildly popular. Killed the franchise for a while because it was just not good. I think they had initially planned for a third one. We know what happened later. We don't have to talk about it, or maybe we do, because they tried with the Ghostbusters movie in the early 2000s or the mid 2000s. They tried to reboot it with the female cast, and they got really good people for that cast. But I never saw the movie, and from what I understand, it just didn't really work. But what they've done now is much more indicative of the era we live in. They've got Ivan Reitman's son, Jason Reitman, has done 2 Ghostbusters movies in the past years, and he's made them into Stranger Things type movies, young adult type movies, a little team of Survivor type movies, and they're grimdark. It's like, this is not a dramatic series. This is a silly concept, and to try and turn it into a grimdark series is just nonsense. So what we learned is that I think of the last scene in the Coen Brothers movie Burn After Reading, and the 2 CIA guys are sitting in the office, the two bureaucrats, and one guy says, "What did we learn?" And the other guy says, "I don't know, sir." And he goes, I don't think we learned. And then one of them says something like, I don't think we learned anything. And I think that's the story of Ghostbusters 2. Because they kept making them. I'd be curious to know if anybody likes this movie. I bet if anybody likes this movie, they were very, very young when they saw it. And they'd probably saw it before they had seen a lot of other movies, probably before the first one. But it was not liked at the time. I think it was made for all the wrong reasons. That it was made because the first one was popular, which is probably not a good enough reason if you don't have some other idea. And it's strange because Ackroyd is so into this stuff, so into this Ghostbuster lore and things and all this paranormal stuff that he really could have done something with it. He could have made it about you. He could have had them encounter UFOs, which is a thing he's really big into. And I think if he had done something like that, just his own nerdishness, instead of just trying, well, we've got all these elements, and they probably got noted to death by the studio with like, well, you got to have this kind of thing in it. You got to have this person back, and we need a scene with this, and don't forget Slimer. And so Slimer's driving a bus at the end for some reason. And Rick Moranis becomes a Ghostbuster. He goes all the way to the scene of the possession, which is the Met Art Museum, which is covered in goo, which is, I think, positive goo. I think the goo is now positively charged by good New Yorker feelings because they've seen the Statue of Liberty walk through the streets and step on people, which has made everybody so full of civic pride that they want to shove their positive energy in and destroy the haunted painting, which none of them know about. But so Rick Moranis is there at the end shooting his jetpack at the plasma, but the actual story is resolved inside. So Rick Moranis ends up doing nothing, but they say, "Hey, we're glad to see you anyway," and then cue the theme song. So that's it. That's Ghostbusters 2. I probably should be more careful about what I pick, even for Garbaugust. I thought it would be kind of fun, but it really was just more tedious than fun. Anyway, that's all for now. I've got more novelizations coming up. Do some more Planet of the Apes. I've got and then, the month is practically over, so probably that's Garbaugust for me. It's just novelizations, Planet of the Apes novelizations, and these, and the other ones I did earlier, Brack the Barbarian. And then we'll go on to other kinds of things. Talk to you later.